So you took the bus to the budget yesterday. When you got there, did you like what you saw? You did ask him for an emergency budget, didn't you, for public services? I guess of all the voices he was trying to please, yours probably wasn't top of Philip Hammond's list. But did you see anything there?
You interviewed me last week on the emergency, and I said, look, we need more money for the NHS. What the NHS were calling for, $4 billion, we got half that at best, and not an awful lot up front either.
A bit more than half, 2.8 billion is what they've suggested. But also, that's nearly two-thirds of what they need.
But up front was very little. But also, what I didn't like as well is smoke and mirrors again. He said there'd be 10 billion in terms of capital. We now discover that's based upon, over half of that is based upon selling off assets, all from the private sector. So that was unnecessary. So what the chief, if you remember last week, I said the chief executive of the NHS said if they didn't get the money, waiting lists would rise by about 5 million. So they're still going to rise. I was quite angry about the nurses' pay issue as well, because there was nothing in the budget that actually said we will pay for this. And what we now discover this morning is that the nurses' pay deal, he said he'll cover it, but he's saying also it's dependent upon a negotiated reforms of what they call agenda for change. So it looks as though that will mean terms and conditions being cut too. So I think nurses will be pretty disappointed. I also raised the issue of education. The head teachers had written in, we got virtually nothing for education. The maths stuff was 1/10 of what was needed that they asked for.
Also 40 million teacher training fund for underperforming schools in England, 8,000 new computer science teachers.
They put in about 140 million. They've taken out 10 times that amount. And we want to target, but we're losing teachers on a scale we've never seen before.
What we do know, though, John, is, and I'm sure you'll focus on this as well, is that the growth figures have been slashed. So
what we've been saying all the way along, and we've been saying for a number of years, you've got to invest in your infrastructure, otherwise you'll have a productivity problem. That's exactly what's happened. That's why growth is down, because you hasn't invested. A wise business person will invest in equipment and training, etc., and then you'll grow your business until you'll grow your economy. That money will pay for itself. And they've failed to do that, so we've got a productivity crisis. So growth down, productivity stagnating, wages lower than they were before the crash. And yet, if you look across Europe, they're growing. We're not, because we didn't invest.
I mean, you say it was all smoke and mirrors, because, of course, it's not like politicians to try to dress things up, is it? I mean, hasn't every person who's delivered a budget done that? And broadly speaking, if we're getting to that point, he had to please so many people. Brexit hasn't happened yet, We don't know where we're going. These predictions are bad for economic growth, although they are just predictions and they have been wrong before. Is it on balance the best he could have done?
No, I think it was... We were promised a budget, almost a revolutionary budget. This would be a fresh start. And what this was all... It was a don't mess up budget.
So what would you have done differently?
I would have stopped the tax cuts to the corporations and the rich. That would have paid for our public services. I would have borrowed more to invest in our economy. Our fiscal credibility...
That would make it even longer
No,
to sort out the debt.
It wouldn't, because we would have grown the economy. If we'd have been investing since 2010, we would be growing our economy. We wouldn't have the productivity crisis. And actually, we were in a position where we could have actually managed the fourth industrial revolution, the new technology revolution, because I've been calling for so long for investment in technology and skills.
We're speaking to the Chancellor himself at 7:30, so in just under an hour. John, what would you like to ask him?
I just want him to go back to the books and say, look, head teachers, the frontline workers, head teachers, the NHS workers themselves, those people who are dealing with people, the poorest in our society on universal credit, they're desperate for more resources now. Stop the tax giveaways to the rich and the corporations. Let us start investing again, because people out there will feel it unfair. You said about the Chancellor's jokes and all the rest of it, and some of those jokes were internal sort of things. If you're on universal credit, you won't be laughing all the way to the food bank this morning.